You may have seen this picture that's been making the rounds lately. It lists uncommon information about Mario 64, ranging from relatively obscure Easter eggs and glitches to abstract and esoteric information which is definitely new to you. You may have also seen other material depicting elements from the game you don't quite remember being there. Firstly, there were light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek observations of the game's quote-unquote lore, seemingly unintentional details, in an already barren story of this relatively primitive game. As it turns out, however, there is a lot more to it. This was only the tip of the iceberg. There is a wider, more important, theoretical lens through which we must understand the game. The Mario 64 you remember is not the same game your friends remember. It is not the same game others online remember. It is not the same game an entire generation has and will remember. This is because, during the creation of the game, an experimental AI was used in the flashing of each cartridge's memory. The smallest of code variables are indeed variable. They alter from copy to copy. Put simply. However, this discovery was made only fairly recently, as most of our collective memories find common ground within a single version of the game, from a sample size of what we can infer to be almost 12 million unique cartridges. This one build of the game was leaked by Nintendo, who knew full well that emulation would soon be possible, following the leaking of the Omen archives. The full story of this leak and its repercussions will be explained later. This leaked version of the game is the one which has been available through Nintendo's Virtual Console program. This is the same version you may have even played for yourself through means of emulation. But why did Nintendo leak this version of the game? Once I explain this phenomenon, it will become clear very quickly. Firstly, we must understand the main examples which serve as evidence towards this copy personalization theory. The most clear evidence of personal copies is found within small details, such as the hidden 1-up in the tower of Whomp's fortress. The origin of this knowledge is unknown. If you did not know about it, then you've just been made aware of its existence now. If you did know about this, then where did you learn about it? Online? If so, how did they know about it? Most people wouldn't remember any overt clues towards its being there, and the secret is completely absent from the original strategy guide. This unexplained spread of knowledge echoes the 100th monkey effect. This is the phenomenon in which ideas and behaviour are spread from one group to another, once these ideas are acknowledged by a certain number of individuals. In this case, the seemingly unexplained spread of knowledge of this 1-up is explained by the existence of personalised copies of the game. Therefore, there clearly exist copies in which this 1-up is more visibly hinted towards. Those who knew about the 1-up shared it online, eventually leading to a mass shift in the collective cultural consciousness of all those who have played the game. Hopefully this will clear things up for those who remember a cracked wall texture being there. These small details are a clue that other people's playstyles reveal that there is no singular version of the game. Moreover, knowing that there are alternate versions of the game, your experience of the game is imbued with elements from someone else's experiences and memories, albeit depersonalized and stripped of their original, unique context. The level serves as an allegory, a microcosmic model of the human brain and its functions. This is a particularly interesting texture. Its almost cobbled appearance mimics gyrification, the presence of gyri and sulci, the characteristic creases and folds of the frontal cortex. There is even a hidden brain diagram in the game. From what we can tell by looking at this texture, we can assume that this would have been used as the original painting for Wet Dry World. This is further evidenced by the frame which outlines the image. Moreover, several people online have noted that they remember seeing the texture on one of the smaller paintings, located near the level's main painting. Further lending credence to these memories is that the texture is the same resolution as this painting. Yet another detail of this allegorical model is the hidden city. It serves as a representation for the subconscious. It is situated beneath the level, beneath the water. It is completely detached from conscious processes, easily understandable and visible thought, surface level consciousness. Yet another important detail is that the city is flooded. This alludes to the condition of hydrocephalus, the buildup of cerebrospinal fluid in brain ventricles. In addition to this, the course contains a vein-like passage, a tubule, connecting the submerged city to the rest of the area. The most concerning of these recent discoveries is that of the side effects on those who have looked into the pre-release versions of the game. Firstly, however, it is important to explain the beta, for it contains information paramount to understanding the infinite plurality of Super Mario 64. The beta contains more obvious clues towards the personalization of copies, clues which have since been hidden following the game's release. Silicon Graphics, defunct as of 2009, was a company which produced computer hardware and software. Their collaboration with Nintendo started in 1993. A notable product of this collaboration is the Reality Coprocessor, a GPU which was used within the circuitry of the Nintendo 64 console. In 1999, an employee, or employees, from Silicon Graphics leaked source code pertaining to the Nintendo 64's software development kit. This code was leaked online as omen.ra. However, this public version of the archive was only 150 megabytes in size. There is supposedly a version of this leak which is much larger, by several gigabytes in fact, even though the 150 megabyte version contained most of the code. The full Omen archives are withheld by those within Nintendo 64 emulation spheres. We can only speculate about its contents. It is advised that viewers of this video do not research previous builds. For safety reasons, I have omitted most beta material from this video. An absurd and unexplainable detail which has occurred to all those who have researched the beta is that they have all had dreams containing the game's penguin characters, specifically as they had appeared in these pre-release versions. A shared piece of advice from those who have researched the beta is to ignore the penguins that approach you in your dream. Look right down towards your feet and try to ignore their presence. If you see or hear them in your dreams, they will talk to you for up to a day. Their voice has been described as horrible, harsh screeching. Those who have encountered these figures within their dreams have noted that they suffered intense and sometimes painful headaches for at least a whole day. This psychological attack is not unlike Rocco's Basilisk, the hypothetical artificial intelligence that retroactively tortures those who knew that it could exist but had no part in its creation, as it sees them as against its existence. And now that you know of Rocco's Basilisk, and unless you can will it into existence, it will at some point down the line torture you, for its powers are theoretically endless and transcend time. The beta and its contents are considered info hazards, as merely being aware of them has brought about negative impacts on mental well-being. Picture in your head Mario running. There is a chance that you can visualize him sinking, as if he's being sucked into the earth, and this sinking cannot be undone, despite how hard one tries to visualize it, to try and reverse the sinking. On the subject of these personalized copies being linked with human psychological processes, this is the prime example of them all, considered ground zero in the recent explosion in interest and study in the game's lore. The Wario apparition was created from the subconscious desires of players to see the character within Mario 64. The sheer willpower, understood by the game through subtle differences in one's playstyle, has caused him to manifest in a morbid and incomplete form in some copies of the game. There are several visualizations as to how this entity has appeared, but those who have encountered it in-game have consistently failed to articulate their memories of this vision. It is suggested that you switch the console off the moment you believe you're witnessing, or are about to witness, the Wario apparition. You give it power by beholding it, regardless of its form. It gains power to begin manifesting itself in one's reality through the psychological deterioration which has become so prevalent within the beta builds of the game. Our newfound understanding of Mario 64, or rather, its breadth of varying builds, evokes the semiotic concept of the hermeneutic circle. This outlines the interpretation of specific parts of a work of art in relation to its whole, and vice versa. As every copy is personalised, one's understanding of Super Mario 64 is the product of one's own personal memories of the game, as well as the knowledge of other people's differing experiences, and how these experiences vary. The abstract concept of Super Mario 64 speaks of a macrocosmic spectrum of varying experiences, all unique, all personalised. Every copy of Mario 64 is personalised. Furthermore, as our understanding of the game is a proverbial petri dish of different memories and experiences, shared or otherwise, the actual role played by Super Mario 64 is one of simulation. The French postmodernist Jean Baudrillard describes this process as the generation by models of a real without origin or reality. These alternate memories have supplanted our reality, that is to say, our knowledge and understanding of the game. As there is such a broad sample size for the different experiences brought about by these personalised copies, there is not one singular point of origin for our memories of the game. We now know that every copy is personalised, with no singular de facto copy. After all this, it begs the question, why did Nintendo choose to create such a fluid and nebulous product? It is obvious that the mission statement of Nintendo's new console was to create more dynamic and lively game worlds. However, their praxis bespeaks a more nuanced motivation than simply making each player's experience unique. Moreover, why did they cover this up? Why did they distribute the copy with the fewest answers? Knowing that memories are at their most striking, yet vague, during our formative developmental years, why did Nintendo want to create such a Mandela Effect-esque phenomenon? This experiment on youthful minds is not unlike the clandestine psychological operations of the past. This is Ultra 64, MKULTRA 64.